Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.
Step back, call game like Dame. Now they all know our name. Crossover, then go straight to the hezzy. I'ma dunk it like Denny. Small market, yeah, we making it big. Now we got too many cameras. Clinging on guards like Drew. You can't even move, ain't nobody stopping us. Rip City Turner, we making some noise. Pass to the present, we getting like Roy. More to be rockin', we bringing the force. Yang with a dime, that's a bucket, of course. If Shaedon bought a dunk, you gotta move. Young and still hustling like Scoop. Come and tap in, see what's new. Blazers Uprise on the crew.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Prize Picks. Today, your Portland Trail Blazers secured the 8th seed in the Western Conference and a winning season as they beat the Sacramento Kings 122-110. The Blazers finished the year 42-40, 8th in the Western Conference, getting the tiebreaker over the Los Angeles Clippers, who also finished with the same record. We'll recap this game, but we're going to be doing a lot of looking ahead as the Blazers for the first time in 5 years are playing basketball after regular season game number 82. We're used to this stream being the end of our season of post-game shows. We're used to this stream talking about how the Blazers lost by 30 or 40 and what their official lottery odds are and looking ahead towards off-season content. Finally, we have a year where it's a bit of a change of pace, and while the Blazers are not yet in the playoffs, they have 2 chances at making the first round of the NBA playoffs because they secured this 8th seed. So I'm really looking forward to this post-game show. Hopefully you are as well. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Eric, what's going on, man? How was your weekend? What are your thoughts on this game? And what are your thoughts going ahead to Tuesday where the Blazers will face the Phoenix Suns in the 7-versus-8 play-in?
Well, I thought the second quarter was really good in this game. Outside of that, they did not play well. They played well on offense, I guess, in the first quarter, but didn't play any defense. So, yeah, happy that they pulled the victory out. I mean, that was the most important thing, is just getting the win. Clippers ended up holding on and winning, and Golden State, or is that game final yet? So,
yeah, Clippers beat the Warriors.
We had to win.
Game,
yeah. And so, looking forward to Tuesday. Since we had the bubble playoff games, if you want to call them that. And then we had the series against Denver. We had the game where Dame scored 55 and we lost, all that stuff. But, I mean, that's going on almost 5 years since we had that experience. So just happy for just the sake of streaming like a meaningful game after the regular season is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see this team on a national stage playing for something more meaningful, which you can make the case they've been playing for the playoffs with these games against the Clippers, and they've taken care of business, right? Those games are very meaningful, but it's a little bit different when it's not the regular season. The play-in is a whole nother level of pressure for this team that I'm really excited to see how they respond because they have been playing good basketball. And although in this game it was only a 12-point win, the Blazers were favored by 17.5 points, the biggest spread that I've seen for the Blazers in quite some time. They still controlled this game for the most part, and the Kings had a couple of young players play well, and they're a scrappy bunch. You know, they're a bad team trying to lose, but this game was never really in jeopardy down the stretch, even though the Kings were able to cut what was a 20-point halftime lead by the Blazers to single digits there in the second half. They got within 7. Denny Avdija steps up, and thank goodness he remembered how to make threes today, because maybe we're talking about a different outcome in this game if Denny Avdija did not make threes in this game. We'll talk about that. That was a very promising sign coming out of this one. You still have Shaedon Sharpe trying to knock off the rust. You have Vit Krejci. He returns and plays a couple of minutes in this game. So we're going to have conversations about what the rotation should look like going into a game against the Phoenix Suns. We'll try and talk about matchups. Normally we don't look ahead to the next opponent in terms of how the Blazers match up with them, but it's a little different when you're talking about the play-in. Matchups are going to mean everything in this game. How do you defend Devin Booker? How do you defend Jalen Green? How do you defend Grayson Allen? How do you defend Colin Gillespie? Of course, there was that game earlier in the year where Colin Gillespie and Grayson Allen killed the Portland Trail Blazers running off the screens. So, we'll talk about some of those previous matchups, how they went, what the Blazers can do better to hopefully get a win in the 7-versus-8 playing game, and that would give them the 7th seed, and they would face the San Antonio Spurs. So, really looking forward to talking about that. But let's see here. We got a member message from Michael Kroll, member for 19 months, says, what a roller coaster of a year, but it's nice to still be playing post-regular season. Yeah, it's a little ironic. Chauncey Billups, after Game 82 last year, said, I don't want this to be the final day of our season next year. And he was right, except he's not involved in it at all. So the Blazers they did succeed on that goal. Yeah, if the Blazers win a championship, does Chauncey get a ring? I saw that question asked somewhere. But regardless, just a good season. It had a lot of ups and downs. This team was a bit of a roller coaster. I agree with that message. From the injuries that they had middle part of the year, to not having a point guard, to Deni Avdija's breakout, to Deni Avdija's injury, and this team kind of falling apart without him, and then him coming back but not being 100%. The last couple of games, he's looked pretty dang good. Last game, he was driving downhill and dominating that way. Today, he was making threes, so if that's a sign of things to come, if he can do both those things, then I feel confident in this team going into the playing game. We've seen Deni be the best player on the floor against Kawhi Leonard in both of these Clipper games. It feels nice going into a game against Devin Booker that maybe Deni Avdija can outplay him. Obviously, Devin Booker's a really good player, but he's been a little bit inconsistent this year. If Deni can hopefully make threes like he did today, it's been a struggle for him in that regard. I feel confident in this team being able to at least make this game against the Suns competitive. Really looking forward to that. But let's quickly recap this game because there's a ton to look ahead to. Let me pull up these stats here. Blazers shoot 47% from the field, 35% from three, make 16 of 46 threes, 80% from the free throw line. They shoot 15 free throws. The Kings shoot 31, so it was kind of the opposite of last game where the Blazers shot 35 free throws and the Clippers only shot 12. This time the Blazers shoot 15, the Kings shoot 31. It's kind of what kept them in this game. The Blazers really, really good on the offensive glass, gave up some offensive rebounds to the Kings in their own right, but only 12 turnovers. That was kind of the key for me in this game. Don't let the Kings force turnovers and get out and run, and the Blazers did do a good job of that, and it allowed them to maintain control even though the Kings were able to get to the line a lot in this game. Kings had some success on the interior with Precious Achiuwa, Maxime Reynaud. I still don't know how he was a second-round pick. That dude is really, really good as a rookie. And then Neat Clifford, one of my favorite prospects from this past year's draft. Those three all scored over 20 points for them. But, the Blazers, despite the free throw number, despite some of the fouling, silly fouls, Scoot Henderson fouled a three-point shooter in this game. There's some over-aggressiveness defensively that the Blazers have been getting away with. Didn't get away with it today. Still able to maintain control. Eric, what jumps out from this stat sheet to you?
Well, Klingon didn't end up with very good numbers, but I thought he came out and had a really good first quarter. Same with Deni. Both those guys. Their numbers aren't bad overall for the game, but I thought both of those guys really set the tone early in this game. And, plenty of decent performances. I wouldn't say anyone else was really, great in this game, but, everyone was just good enough, I guess, is how I would put it.
Yeah. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter recap because obviously we have a lot to look ahead to. And obviously this was a game where the Kings were trying to lose and the Blazers were heavy, heavy favorites. But, the three-point shooting, okay, three-point shooting night for the Blazers. Just would have liked to not send them to the line as much and maybe gotten a little bit of rest. It's not like they have 6 days off like teams that don't have to play in the play-in. They have to play again on Tuesday. And then if they hopefully win that game, then, they'll have 4 or 5 days off. So after that, that's another benefit of being able to win that 7-versus-8 play-in, is you do get a little bit of rest. But as we look at some of the players, we'll kind of go through quickly here. Deni Avdija, 25 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds in 33 minutes. Did his shot look better to you from 3 today? Because I thought his rhythm looked better, and he made a comment about it being a timing thing, which is everything that I've been talking about. And immediately after making those comments, next game, I thought the rhythm looked better on his three. He wasn't shooting it late, and he was 5 for 9 from three, which is a great sign given his slump. So did you notice a difference, or do you think it was just shots falling? What do you think of his game as a whole with the 10 assists as well?
I mean, I was happy he hit 5 threes. Obviously, that's a good sign. I don't know if it was necessarily different. Like his first one, it looked like it was going to hit short again, and then it kind of rimmed in. And I think he even thought he missed it at first when he shot it. But he does have, I don't know, it's like he's doing some weird, like he gets like very stiff like right before he shoots it, and I know he always used to do that, but it was more fluid. Like it's almost like he stops in like a upright position right before he shoots, and I don't know if it was necessarily different this game. He just happened to make some of them. Overall, really good game. There was a couple times where he felt like he got fouled, so unlike last game, I thought he did a better job of hustling back on defense and not letting that affect a play or two down the road. So good job there. But yeah, overall, I'll take this game from Denny. It's good to see him hit some shots. Hopefully that gives him some confidence, because I mean the shooting's just been dreadful for the last couple months. So hopefully this is something to build on, because if he's making 3-point shots in addition to everything else he's contributing, we're going to be dang tough to beat in either one of the playing games.
Yeah. Also, let me just clear this up because I see this debate in chat. Postseason includes play-in and playoffs. The Blazers are not in the playoffs, but they are in the postseason. They are playing games in the postseason. Just like this is the post-game show, meaning the show after the game, the postseason are the games after the season. The season's done. The Blazers are in the postseason. All right, that's why I'm calling it the postseason. I'm not saying playoffs, but they're in the postseason. They're playing games after Game 82 of the regular season, meaningful basketball games. 2 games, just got to win one to get into the playoffs. So I saw people disagreeing with the terminology there. That's the terminology. Really good playmaking on the drive. They popped up the stats during the game. That Denny Avdija, number 1 in drives per game, number 1 in assists per drive, and he has his critics, people that think he's an overrated player, which is funny because he went from being one of the most underrated players in the league. Now people saying he's overrated and, critiquing his game. Oh, the way he plays, he just tries to run into everybody. I'll say this. It's not easy to lead the leagues in drives per game. That means you're constantly turning the corner at the point of attack, especially as a 6'9" forward. That's really, really impressive on the regular season to lead the league in drives per game. And that is absolutely a skill. And then number 1 in assists on drives, and he leads that margin by a lot. Just huge shout out to him. I mean, once again, this game tonight was emblematic of what he's been all season, which is just a straight downhill driver. Of course, he made threes, but also the 10 assists. Really, really steady performance from him tonight. Only 3 turnovers as well. So just really, really solid game.
I know, I think both you and I agree that he at least deserves a chance at getting third-team All-NBA. It doesn't look like he's going to get it based on just some of the national media's talk around him the last couple days. But what did you think of that? Do you think he should be third-team All-NBA?
I mean, it's hard to even know because I don't know off the top of my head exactly who qualifies and who doesn't. But He led a team that has been at the bottom of the league for 4 straight years. I mean, last year they were, borderline bottom 10, but they won 36 games. And he was a big reason why they won 36 games. And he led them to an 8 seed. Like, we'll see if they can make the playoffs, but he's the number 1 player on a playoff team that played enough games to qualify. And statistically, it absolutely has a case. I think, if there's nobody ineligible and every star played over 65 games, there would probably be 15 more deserving players than him for All-NBA. But given that that's not the case, I do think he should be All-NBA, just without knowing the names that qualify off the top of my head. It's almost like he was in and out of the lineup, and it got to the point where it's like he has to play every single game the rest of the regular season in order to qualify for awards, and he's in and out of the lineup. So like his most improved odds absolutely tanked, and then all of a sudden he's not in All-NBA conversations. But then he played basically every game the rest of the regular season in this game, he qualified for awards. So I almost wonder if it's just the narrative around the conversation, and the conversation has kind of been, for the most part, like, oh, he's probably not going to qualify. Now that he did, I'd be curious to see if the conversation changes at all, but I definitely think he at least should be in the conversation. And if he's not in the conversation, I think that's kind of ridiculous. So that's my thoughts on it.
Did you see what Matt Moore said a couple days ago about Denny?
Who?
Versus Matt Moore.
What did he say?
He basically said, like, Denny's the ultimate grifter, and it's like, it's disgusting what he does.
What page does he run?
Compared to like SGA or something like that.
Is he the one that runs HP? Is that guy?
Yeah.
That guy's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have not liked that guy.
But there were
for
a lot of people
now.
that agreed with him.
But dude, like, the conversation around Denny is so ridiculous to me. Like, he's the number one grifter. He leads the league in drives per game. Like, there's literally stats that you can look at. Like, okay, he's driving more than anybody. He drives hard as hell. If you watch him, there's times where he'll run into contact and fall away and, like, try and sell the foul and that sort of thing. But there's tons of players that do that. He's not the type of guy that he's running and there's no contact and he's tripping over his own feet and falling to the floor to sell contact. You know, there's no, like, all right, I'm going to stiff arm this guy, step back for a mid-range, shoot, kick my legs out, kick the guy who's guarding me, and then fall on the ground for a foul call. Like, he doesn't do that stuff. That is absolute grifting, if you want to call it that. To call him the biggest grifter in the league when there are players that do that stuff, he's just constantly playing downhill all game. And yeah, there's times where he tries to sell contact. Yeah, there's times where he's turning the corner and gets a little bump and, like, falls away from the rim, throws the ball up at the rim. Like, yeah, he's trying to sell calls in certain situations. He's trying to sell contact. But that is so different to me than grifting, where players flop and flail when there's absolutely no contact. And sure, you could probably find plays where Denny does that, but I've watched him all year, and I've watched all these other players, and I just feel like, I don't know, it's almost like people want to have that narrative about him. They don't want to give him his due. They don't want to give him his flowers.
I was trying to find the tweet so I could quote it directly, but my Lord, this guy tweets a lot. Yeah. I've been scrolling for a while, and I'm just to yesterday, so might take me a minute to find this. But basically, he said that his drives are literally just him trying to get fouled.
That's BS. How does he lead the league in assists per drive then? How does he lead the leagues in and ones then if he's not driving to score through the contact? It's BS. There's no statistical argument for what he's saying.
Yeah, to me, it's the opposite. I think, yes, he creates contact, and I think that's where the confusion is nationally, because they just see that, like, him being like a bull in a china shop type player. And the thing is, there's contact when he drives. There is. It's not like I've made this point throughout the season that he's not the type of player who fakes getting hit like SGA does a lot of times. Now, I'm not saying SGA is wrong to do that. I mean, if it works for him, it works for him, and he's obviously the MVP for a reason. But to call that okay, but what Denny does not okay, I mean, I would much rather have a player that creates contact and puts the onus on the officials to call it versus someone who tries to deceive the refs through the way he, like, contorts his body when he shoots the ball. Yeah.
Yep. I don't respect that guy's opinions. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not all I say, but I'll leave it at that. Shout out to Monopoman with a $3.50 donation. Says, how good are we next year with Dame back? I'm not sure how good Dame's going to be, and also the roster's probably going to undergo some changes as well this offseason, maybe some upgrades. So it's really hard to say, but imagining Dame with this complement of role players is very, very exciting. I'll give you that. Thank you for the donation. Anyway, like there's all sorts of wild narratives around Denny. And listen, like if he was just playing like the role that he played in Washington and was putting up 9 points per game, nobody would be talking about him. It's because of how good he is. That's part of the reason why he's polarizing. That's part of the reason why people will spew takes like that. That's part of the reason why there's so much conversation around him, is because he produces at a really high level. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen if you're a sixth man off the bench, unless you're, in sixth man of the year running. It doesn't happen if you're the fifth best starter on a mediocre team. So it comes with the territory. But great game from him. Really good games to end the season. I'm feeling encouraged because this team is obviously much better with him at full strength. That's how good he is. Drew Holiday, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Shooting numbers, let me find them. 8 for 18 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Did have 4 turnovers with 3 assists. Not the best at taking care of the ball today, but he's not a guy I think that you worry about going into postseason basketball, especially given some of the offensive production that he had the final month and a half of the season. So looking forward to seeing him put his stamp on this team. He's played at the highest level. He's won championships. So I think he's going to be ready for these play-in / playoff games that the Blazers could end up playing, and had a solid scoring performance tonight despite the turnovers.
Yeah, opposite of worried about Drew. This is exactly what we got him for, these moments coming up here in the next week. And I'm pretty confident he'll play well when he has to. And just thankfully, 2 of our biggest problems this year was how Drew and Rob are going to hold up throughout the season. And luckily we have both those guys healthy right now, knock on wood, for these games. Now, it would help if never playing in April, Jeremy Grant could contribute at all in the playoffs too. But unfortunately, that doesn't look to be the case. So, but good to have a vet like Drew, who has been in plenty of playoff games and these kind of atmospheres. I think he'll be a calming influence like he has been all year.
Yeah, I don't know how much the team's going to miss Jeremy Grant. I think it just depends on how well they collectively shoot the ball. I feel like if they collectively shoot well, they don't miss Grant that much, because his rebounding isn't good. His defense, I think, is okay. I think it's a little overrated. And then he's not somebody that you want isolating a lot. Like, yeah, he can drive to the rim and finish. But where he's most helpful is being able to knock down threes at a forward spot. So, Chris Murray hit a couple threes today. Like, if Chris Murray gets some spot minutes and hits a couple of threes and then he does rebound decently well, I don't think it's as big of a drop-off as people might assume. Now, the whole context behind that conversation is most of the time Chris Murray's not hitting a couple of threes. Most of the time Chris Murray's bricking every three he takes. So that's just the area where I think the Blazers could miss Grant the most. But we'll talk about what the rotation should be. We talked about it a couple of streams ago, but we'll talk about how what we think the rotation should be would match up with Phoenix's rotation as well. So we'll preview that. Drew, solid 23-point game for him. Tamani, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Had a nice finish in this game. Was 3 for 8 from 3. A solid offensive game. This is kind of like his average offensive game now. 3 for 8 from 3. That's 37.5%. Like he's been shooting even better than that, but a very solid offensive game. Didn't really make any mistakes, no turnovers. The type of game that we needed out of Tamani tonight.
Yeah, he was solid as well. Really okay game from him. I don't really have much to say about him.
Scoot Henderson, 15 points as well, 4 assists, 3 turnovers, 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. Had a couple nice drives in this game. Hit a couple both threes he hit were I believe, if I recall correctly, catch and shoot threes. He's been really good in that area. Had that bad foul, but otherwise, he finishes with 3 fouls in 27 minutes. He's just been like steady. Not even in a spectacular way or anything like that. Not even in a way that I would call like very impressive or anything like that. He's just been like solidly steady for this team. And that's something that I feel like you couldn't really say about Scoot Henderson until this past month of games. Even last year, very up and down. The start of this year, he started off looking kind of solid and then had a 7-game stretch where he slumped and he was rough. Maybe the worst player in the league during those 7 games. Of course, his rookie year, he was one of the worst players in the league for the entire season. I feel like the past month, we've kind of seen Scoot mature into a guy that's just like kind of steadily solid. Not that he doesn't make his share of mistakes. That was a bad foul that he committed today. But his turnovers have been more under control. He had 3 today, but that's the most he's had in 5 games this month. Every other game he had 2 or less. The last 3 games he had 3 steals, 2 steals, 2 steals. Like he's making an occasional defensive play and is solid on that end of the floor. And then the shooting has been really good. This game, 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, but he was 4 for 5 inside the arc. That was good. So he's just been a steady contributor in the starting lineup. Like not somebody that's like amazing, but I do think that's a step in the right direction that we can say that about him. At least I can say that about him. I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, I wish he could do that with his passing in the past. Like, where did that go? He's just not.
He had a nice pass to Klingon that probably should have been a layup by him, and Klingon like caught the ball, went down with it, went back up, missed it. There's plays every game where it's like, man, it would be nice if Klingon could finish that. But yeah, I mean, he's just, when he's on the ball, it's kind of just like go create a shot. And then guys aren't really, the one thing he's struggling with, he's not, in isolation, he's not turning the corner enough on drives, so it's not forcing help. So a lot of the kick-out passes aren't really to an open shooter, and it's not resulting in shots. And then, he's playing off the ball a bit. And I think he's done a solid job playing off the ball. Catch and shoot 3 looks good. So it's going to result in less assists. Hopefully next season, this offseason and going into next year, they can tap back into the playmaking because, yeah, that's the one thing that would be a nice addition to his steady play right now.
Yeah. And then the bench. I thought Chris Murray was okay this game. Like he provided
talk about Klingon.
Oh, Klingon, yeah.
Klingon. Oh. Trying to skip the big
Jumping
man.
the gun, yeah.
13 points, 11 rebounds. Let me pull back up the box score here. 13 points, 11 rebounds, so 6 for 10 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Had 6 offensive boards in 24 minutes. Had a block. Solid game. Solid Klingon game. Nothing impressive by his standards, but it wasn't a bad game either. It was just he contributed. Pretty good stat line for a 24-minute outing.
I thought he was awesome in the first quarter. Had like 9 points in the first 6 minutes of this game. Got his second foul, so had to come out. But I thought he was pretty good in that stint. But yeah, it wasn't super impactful. Then he got his 3rd foul right when he came back in the game the next time, and then his 4th foul early in the second half, I think. So couldn't really get into a huge rhythm in this game, but I thought it was good in the first quarter and okay the rest of the game. You're muted if you're talking.
I was talking. Chris Murray, off the bench, 30 minutes, 9 points, 3 for 4 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. Had 4 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals. Was a plus 27, a team high. There's a comment in chat. You said Chris was okay, and there's a comment in chat that says, Chris, okay, he was a plus 30. Number one, he was only a plus 27, not a plus 30. Let's not give him 3 extra points. But also, plus minus, it can be reflective of how a player plays, but it's not entirely reflective of how a player plays because he's one of 5 players on the floor. But with that being said, I do think Chris was good today. He made both his threes. He played 30 minutes. He made both his threes. He was 3 for 4. He didn't have a turnover. Had 3 assists and forced some turnovers. Had 3 steals. Like, that's a solid Chris Murray game. By his standards, that's a good Chris Murray game because he made both of his threes. You know, it's lately it does feel like he's shooting a little bit better. Not that I have any faith in him knocking down threes, but last game he was 1 for 2, and then tonight he was 2 for 2. So that's two games in a row that he made a 3. You see how low the bar is? Like, I feel like he's shooting a little better lately because he's just 3 for 4 in his last 2 games. Because before that, 0 for 1, didn't shoot a 3, 0 for 1, 0 for 4, 1 for 5. But he also made 2 threes on March 23rd, and I think that's sticking out in my brain. Like, anytime you can get multiple threes out of Chris Murray, it's a really, really, really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I thought he was good tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said okay earlier.
See, people will nitpick the way things are said. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't, like. Yes, this game in particular, if he played exactly this way, he'd probably be okay at the end of the rotation. We'll talk about that later, but he's not, like, good enough to be, like, if we're trying to take a jump next year, he can't be in the rotation like you've talked about too. So
yeah,
you got to take it with somewhat of a grain of salt.
Yep. All right, now here we go. All right, ready for this conversation. Shaedon Sharpe had a interesting game today. 9 points off the bench in 17 minutes. Was 3 for 11 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. Did have 4 assists with only 1 turnover. And did have 2 steals. What were your thoughts on him today and how he looked?
I thought he looked rough offensively, just trying to fit in. I thought he looked really good as, like, the pressure perimeter defender, and like you said, got a couple steals. Had one in the backcourt. So yeah, and I did like his 1 turnover. He tried to hit Rob on a roll, just threw it a little too far in front of him. But overall, I like the way he's passing the ball a little better than earlier in the season. It's just
so I have a question with that. Is that because he's a little less confident in his ability to score right now?
Well, I mean, coming back from his particular injury, it's something that's come up time after time this season. So I can almost guarantee he's a little afraid to push it too much. You know, I don't like, he had that fast break. It kind of eased up and ended up helping him because he got an and one on it because Cardwell put his hand on him. But I don't know. I feel like you can tell he's not entirely trusting, like, going full speed, and it's kind of messing up his shot and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. The assist numbers, 4 assists, all 4 assists were swing passes, which is fine. Like, make the extra pass. He's not really creating well right now. It wasn't 4 assists because he's turning the corner on a drive, drawing a second defender, and, like, making the defense rotate and then hitting the open guy.
I thought he had at least one where he drove down the middle.
I just watched all 4 of them back. You know, he might have had a pass like that wasn't cashed in. Yeah. But he's the creation aspect seems to be rusty, which is to be expected. It's absolutely to be expected. I don't think Sharpe's going to come back and play his best basketball after missing 2 months and then coming back 2 games left of the regular season. I just don't.
Absolutely not.
You know, but of course I'm going to talk about what he's struggling with in that same vein. He doesn't look quite as explosive around the rim. He's still explosive, but Shaedon Sharpe explosiveness is a high level of athleticism. We all know that. Shot some step back jumpers today that didn't fall. You know, it's one of those things where he probably should not be shooting 11 times in 17 minutes.
Yeah, unless he catches fire or something. Yeah. Like
his second shot of the game, he drives from the corner and there's still 8 on the shot clock, and he shoots a step back behind the elbow with Devin Carter on him. And it got blocked. And it's just like, dude, number 1, you're not efficient on those shots. Number 2, you got blocked. You're not open. There's still 8 on the shot clock. Like, that's the type of stuff that, you know, we can, like, I can sit here and say he's rusty, but that's is that a rust thing? That's kind of a decision-making thing. Like, you don't want to settle for that shot unless there's, I think, under 5 or 4 seconds on the shot clock. And there's just been some moments where he's just kind of he's just kind of doing his own thing with the ball in his hands, and that's kind of the archetype of player he has been this season offensively. I hope next season, a new coaching staff, or if Thiago, I don't know, and his assistants kind of reevaluate things, like they use him better off the ball.
Yeah.
We've had the style of play conversations all year long. Like, I'm not going to harp on it too much, but he's going to be rusty with maybe some of the shot making and reading the game and some of his conditioning. But I do like that. He made some swing passes that resulted in some buckets. He played some good defense today. It's control the things you can control and just try to make the right decisions. And that's all we can ask for. And if he's playing 17 minutes off the bench, and he's a volatile player coming back off this injury where, some games he might have it, some games he might really struggle. In a bench role that's playing a little bit less minutes, it's a little easier to work with that because – we'll see if he gets off a minutes restriction, but ideally, like if he has it going on a given night, he gets more minutes off the bench. And if he doesn't, you're not relying on him to play 30-plus minutes and be a huge part of your offense if you have other guys that are able to contribute in that way. And that's the thing. The majority of the season, the Blazers they had guys injured, and Sharpe had to step up in that way, and he was starting, and he was taking a lot of shots. He was scoring a lot of points for this team. I think right now his role coming back into this is, do the little things like try and rebound, compete on the ball, play defense, and try and take the right shots. But also, I don't want him to be too passive off the bench. I think, and I've said this with numerous guys, if you're being aggressive as a scorer, you're probably going to take a bad shot here or there. So I think that role makes a little bit more sense off the bench, which is where he is right now, given that he's on a minutes restriction coming back off this injury.
Yeah, I'm completely fine with it. I'm glad they didn't mess with the starting lineup. And they utilize him off the bench. Totally fine with that. And I do think, sometimes you have to take a bad shot, I guess, but I do wish they would just have him be like, dude, just calm down. Don't try to do anything too much. Just kind of try to fit in with the offense right now. And as you get back more comfortable, then maybe we can try to break players down off the dribble, but it's just not really working out these first couple. So, right now, I hope that they don't expect him to or want him to be doing too much on offense. But I will say, I really, it's been crazy seeing him pressure the ball and take on the other team's primary ball handler on defense. That's something that we haven't really seen from him a ton in his career. And if he can get good at that and contribute on the defensive end, even if his offense isn't helping the rest of the season, that's a huge bonus that we hadn't really accounted for.
Yeah, it makes him playable on nights where he doesn't have it going offensively.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he deserves some credit for the turnaround on the defensive end the past year and a half for sure. Shout out to Rare Nathan, who gifted 10 Blazers Uprise memberships. Not 5, we got 10 gifted memberships. They go to A-Bohm, Eric Olson, Tyler Smith, Roy, C. Lamb, Daniel, Why You Mad Bro, our guy Damani, Teebs the Kid, and Nico Loves Stadiums. Trying to read all the usernames. I wish YouTube still had it where you could just set your name and it didn't have to be your username, because it was a lot easier to read off the gifted memberships. But hopefully I got all your names right. Shout out to Nathan for gifting the memberships. Thank you, Nathan. All right. Final players off the bench, and then we'll look ahead at Tuesday. Robert Williams, 23 minutes, 6 points, 10 boards. 3 for 4 from the field. Caught a lob. Typical Rob game.
Yeah, I thought he was fine again. It's
Defense.
good to have him out there still at this point of the season.
Yeah, his defense has been really good. There's some tweet, and I forget exactly what it was, but it was like a rim protection. I think it was like defensive field goal percentage at the rim or something like that against NBA players, and he was leading the league recently. It was some sort of like past month or since the All-Star break or something like that, and he was leading
since the
it.
All-Star break.
Yeah, since
and Klingon was third.
He was leading it, and Klingon was third. It's cool to have two centers in the top three in that regard. So, you're gonna have to protect the rim in the playoffs. I mean, that's a huge part of playoff basketball. Is you're able to be a little bit more physical on the perimeter, and then can you clean things up on the inside? Robert Williams has been doing just that. Matisse Thybulle plays 7 minutes today. Was 2 for 4 from the field. I feel like the 7 minutes played was he's not 100%, and we're not going to push him.
Yeah, hopefully that ankle's okay. He was listed as probable, but never know with the Blazers, right?
Yeah. And then you have Krejci plays 5 minutes.
I do want to say one thing about Thybulle.
Yeah, really.
This drives me crazy. They had a 3-on-1 fast break, and or 3-on-2, I think it was, and I don't remember if it was Scoot or someone else was on top, and one of the defenders went with him. Shea was bringing the ball up, and Thybulle had the whole right side of the court wide open, and he just stops at the 3-point line, and Shea passes to him, and the defender that was guarding Shea is able to go out and get to Thybulle and prevent him from shooting a 3, and we lost any advantage we had. If he just keeps cutting, he has a wide open dunk or lay-in. That kind of drives me crazy sometimes, especially when the Blazers came out in that third quarter and were abysmal. They were like 1 for 11 on their first 11 shots or something like that, and they could not hit a 3. And so to just stop, like, just take the easy basket sometimes, especially when the team is struggling to score there. But I mean, it's kind of more of a modern NBA thing, not necessarily a Thybulle problem. But I wish players were a little bit more cognizant of when they have like a wide open lane versus spacing out for a 3-point shot, and then you don't even get an open 3-point shot. It's one thing if you get an open shot, we can debate that whether it's a good shot or not, but you didn't even get a shot off. I don't know if you saw this on Friday night, but LaMelo Ball, did you see the LaMelo Ball fast break one?
Yeah.
So he has for those that didn't see it, he has I don't know if it was like a steal or something, but he has a fast break, is driving to the hoop, has the angle on a dunk or a lay-in pretty much wide open, and he stops and then dribbles all the way out to the corner 3 and shoots a 3-point shot instead and makes it, which is crazy, but just literally like stopped and gave himself up from shooting a 2-pointer and went and shot a 3-point shot.
Not good, man. Not good. 6'7", go dunk the ball. But he made the 3, is one of those things where it's like, what are you doing? Okay, you made it. All good. Vic Krejci plays 5 minutes today. Missed a 3, but then got a layup right after that, which was cool. Pretty much the only thing he did in this game. Barely played. Yeah. But just good to see him back out on the floor.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on with that calf, but, man, that was...
The Blazers and their
weird
calves, man.
Yeah.
Blazers and their calves.
And not the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Nope.
Then everyone else is just pretty much garbage time.
Yeah. Alrighty. That is the lineup.
I want to say one thing, Tori.
Yep.
Did I not tell you earlier in the season Denny was going to get a lane violation at some point in the season on a pass in? Yeah. Did you see that in this game?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
He toes that line so much. Like, just got to make sure you're not doing that on or in the play-in or on playoffs.
Yeah.
Can't have possessions cost his possession.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Something I want to do here. I don't know if I have this scene set up, but I'll show the screen here. 1 second. Alrighty. So this is what I'm always looking at when I'm talking about adjusted offensive rating, adjusted defensive rating. This is dunks and threes. And this is essentially what adjusted offensive and defensive rating are is offensive and defensive rating, but it's adjusted for strength of schedule. The Blazers' final numbers last year, they were 23rd in adjusted offensive rating and 13th in adjusted defensive rating. This year, we had the goal of the Blazers finishing close to league average on offense and borderline top 5 defensively, which was like lofty goals. We knew they probably weren't going to achieve it, but that's kind of where I wanted to set the bar at, given that they were a top 5 defensive team the second half of last season. They finished 22nd offensively and 11th defensively. Their adjusted net rating was 20th best in the league, which is worse than Golden State. It's worse than the Clippers. It's worse than the Magic, worse than the Sixers, worse than the Suns. 20th best in the league. So, from those metrics, the offense was just a roller coaster, and when you turn over the ball as much as the Blazers did this season, you're not going to be that good offensively, even if you make a decent amount of shots. We'll take a look at the shooting numbers for the season in a second. Defensively, they underachieved 80% of the season and then figured things out. Second half. Well, not even second half. Like the last 20% of the season, we've talked about it. The last 3 weeks or so, this has been an elite defensive team. This has been the defensive team we expected to see this season. If they played like that, they could have been a borderline top 5 defense. They were below average defensively for like half the season in this stat. So, still work to be done, but the fact that you got the 8th seed and your offense was hit or miss and led the league in turnovers, and you were one of the worst three-point shooting teams, but shot a ton of threes, and then the defense underachieved most of the season, and they still got 8th, and they still finished above 500. They finished 42-40. I think that's a positive thing going forward, assuming that they can continue to improve upon some of these things. And then shooting numbers, they finish with the 3rd worst three-point percentage. So only 3rd worst. The Kings
awesome.
were worse. Yeah, the Kings were worse and the Nets were worse.
Yeah, we're number 28.
Yeah. They finished with the 2nd worst mid-range shooting percentage, and at the rim they shot 19th best in the league, but shot the 3rd most threes. This is where hopefully getting Damian Lillard helps, and having more shooting on the team next year helps, and then we'll take a look at the turnover number in a second. But there's just very clear areas for an improvement beyond this 42-win season that I think should leave you optimistic, if anything. Very clear areas of weakness to address here. And then, go ahead.
I talked about the Thibault non-fast break lay-in, but man, it just seemed like in that 3rd quarter, they were shooting a 3-point shot on every possession, when in the first half, they were getting into the paint a lot. And it just was such a stark contrast between the first half and that. And so to watch them just clank 3 after 3 in that quarter and not even try to go inside at all with how it was working earlier in the game was really frustrating to me. So
yeah,
they continue to just keep chucking. It was like that was their game plan coming into the 3rd quarter. Let's just try to shoot as many threes as possible and win this game that way. But man, just a little ridiculous how many threes they missed and how they kept shooting them.
Yeah. Something that's also interesting, opponents had the best steal percentage against the Blazers, which that's not a surprise given how much they turned the ball over, but they also had the best block percentage against the Blazers. They had the best block percentage against the Blazers. So stock percentage for all the NBA draft Twitter spreadsheet guys. They love their stocks. Blazers, look at this, man. If you could just stop turning the ball over, not get blocked as much, and make some threes, you're talking about an offense that's probably borderline top 10, and you're talking about being borderline top 10 on both sides of the floor. Hopefully next year that will be the case. The Blazers finished 18th in assist percentage, 24th in free throw percentage, so got to be better there moving forward. And then turnover percentage, dead last. Here's the final number. I'll put it at the top for you. 16.1% turnover percentage. Very ugly.
Yeah.
Second best in offensive rebounding. They were ninth best in terms of getting to the free throw line. In terms of forcing opponent turnovers, remember the Blazers were by far and away the top of this stat like 5, 6, 7 games into the season when they were pressuring like crazy. They fell all the way down to 8th, but still a pretty good mark there. Defensive rebounding has to get better in the future. Blazers were 6th worst in that regard. Free throw rate, opponent free throw rate, Blazers were 19th. So not as bad as I thought there, honestly.
What's that? Was that 19th?
Yeah, 19th in opponent free throw rate.
Yeah.
And then in terms of pace, Blazers were 8th in the league. Offensive pace, they were average. Defensive pace in terms of grinding out defensive possessions. Well, not in terms of grinding out defensive possessions. Blazers had the 5th shortest defensive possession length, if you care about that. But just some of the final numbers there from this season. And,
So I found that exact quote if you want it.
Yeah, let's hear the exact.
So this is from Hardwood Paroxysm on Twitter, who is Matt Moore.
Trying to trigger me.
It was so this guy Raheem Palmer had a tweet back on April 6th. This is, Denny gets a prime MJ whistle and has done nothing to earn it, and yet somehow SGA is public enemy number 1 for being a foul merchant. Brown was literally afraid of fouling this man at the end of regulation and basically gave him an open layup because you can't breathe on him. And so this was quote tweeted by Matt Moore, and he said, "I have never seen a grifter like Avdija. People talk about Shea the way Avdija actually is. It is insane," in all caps, insane how that man draws fouls with zero intent on a shot attempt.
Yet he leads the league in and ones.
Yeah.
But he always fouls. You know, he's just drawing, not looking for a shot attempt. But yet somehow he scores through a bunch of them. Interesting how that works. It's just BS. It's not backed up statistically. And it's not backed up by the eye test. That dude seems to get off on hating the Portland Trail Blazers over the years. I mean, you can throw it back 10-plus years on Twitter. That dude, to me, has always come across as a guy that gets off on hating on the Portland Trail Blazers.
This random guy, Josh, replies to him, "No data, pure eye test, but it seems like Avdija forces contact from out-of-position defenders, as does Shai at an elite level. The difference is Shai fakes / accentuates the contact more than Avdija, and being small, he looks ridiculous sometimes when he actually gets the ref to bite," which is what we were saying, right? Like, yeah. I feel like Denny doesn't have to fake the contact because there is contact. And so Matt Moore quote tweets that, saying, "There's absolutely a skill to it. Drawing fouls is a legitimate skill and has always been so in the NBA, despite the way we talk about it. But man, there are so few attempts on shots when I watch with him." Like, what are you talking about? And then,
all right, man. How many Blazer games did you watch this year? That's my next question.
And there's also people like, if you take away Denny's free throw attempts, look at what he only averages 16 points a game. Yeah, no crap. Like, if you do that with like any star, they're going to average less.
Yeah, any high free throw volume shooting star, if you take away their free throws, they don't average as many points. No crap. The narratives around Denny are just nauseating. I mean, some of it comes from people within this fan base that don't seem to be happy having an all-star on their roster again and don't seem to be happy about being 8th in the West. And well, you know, we don't want this team to stay here, right? Like, getting 8th in the West in Dame's prime years was very frustrating, being stuck in purgatory, but hopefully this is a step towards where this team's trying to go. Like, they've been in the doldrums for years. Now they're 8th. And Denny's a huge, huge reason for it.
I mean, a lot of the people who feel that way, it's not for basketball reasons. So
yeah, but they'll portray them as basketball reasons. Like, I have no issue. Like, I'm not gonna get into the other non-basketball conversations, but like, feel how you want to feel about that. That is absolutely your right and your opinion, and I will not argue with you on that because I just don't discuss that publicly. Right? Like, I am not going to share my opinion on that publicly. Don't if you want to be taken seriously in terms of talking basketball, you should not use that to then have just absolutely insane narratives about his play on the basketball floor. So it's really, really kind of annoying when people use that to then criticize his play on the basketball floor when the criticisms are just kind of BS and insane. Anyway, yeah. That's my thoughts on that. I don't really want to go more into that, but let's preview the upcoming playing game. First, let's give a shout out to Prize Picks. Make sure you use that code HMA. We don't yet have the matchup for Suns Blazers. I was looking for it. We don't yet have that matchup, but we do have odds, or we do have chances to make the playoffs. This was the way the graphic looked before this game. Okay, this is what it looked like Friday night. The Blazers had a 1.63x to make the playoffs. That has risen to 1.35 to make the playoffs, and 2.77 is no. So those chances for the Blazers got better, obviously, because they locked in the 8th seed. It rose a little bit more than I thought, because I thought prevailing knowledge would be, oh yeah, they're probably going to beat the Sacramento Kings. The Suns went from 1.16 to 1.13, so the Blazers 1.35, the Suns 1.13. The Suns more favored to make the playoffs as of now. I was looking at that, trying to think like, okay, what would the chances be for this matchup? We don't have it yet, but if you download Prize Picks and use that code HMA, there's a download link in the description box below. Once that matchup goes live, you'll be able to see what they think the chances are for the Blazers to win this upcoming game against the Phoenix Suns. You'll see the individual matchup, and that's what I'm looking forward to, because I think this should be close to 50-50, but I'm not sure how they're going, how people are going to look at this matchup with the Blazers going on the road to face the Suns.
The ESPN has a line on it if you want it.
Yeah, so we see in chat 4.5. Yeah, we'll see what Prize Picks has to say. But shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring the stream. Use that code HMA.
Usually they're pretty close, but
yeah,
I mean, if the Suns are favored by 4.5 on other sites, you would think they're at least going to be favored for the Suns in this game, and obviously they're a home team, so yeah. Hopefully they get that up there soon.
That's probably right around where it should be.
Yeah,
probably right around where it should be.
So the Blazers and Suns have played 3 times this season. The Suns won 2 out of 3. The only one the Blazers won was when the Suns had like a ridiculously bad lineup out there. I believe one of the games we lost to the Suns, they didn't have Booker. And I think Dylan Brooks had a good game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'll pull up. We can go through one by one. If you want. I'll pull it up on ESPN and I'll go through each.
Yeah, the first one is back on November 18th.
Yeah, let's look at this here. I'll put it on the screen too, so you guys can look through with us. Let me share this. I have too many windows open.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do. All right. So if we go to... No, not Phoenix. Don't click Phoenix. Click the score. First game of the season, the Blazers lost 127-110. This was a game in which the Blazers shot 24% from three. They were 10 for 41. 10 for 41. Not pretty. Turnover-wise, they turned over the ball 20 times. So that was just an abysmal offensive game for the Portland Trail Blazers. They've been playing better. They haven't been quite that bad from a three-point shooting plus turnover standpoint. Like, that's a pretty bad combination. You shoot 24% from three and turn it over 20 times.
Yeah, and obviously Scoot missed all 3 games against Phoenix, but Jeremy and Drew also missed that game.
Yeah. So you look at the
and Rob Will played 8 minutes.
Yeah, Young Hansen had to play 13 minutes in that game. He had 3 turnovers.
It's weird seeing Dwap and
I know.
playing a combined 18 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Caleb Love played 32 minutes in that game, had 3 turnovers. Sidy Cissoko had 2 turnovers off the bench. He had to play 28 minutes in that game. Chris Murray started, played 25 minutes, basically did nothing. And then Klingon this time of year, this is kind of when his rough stretch started, so he wasn't playing the best basketball this time of year. Shaedon Sharpe, 12 for 24, but goes 0 for 6 from 3. And then Tamani was 2 for 10, 2 for 9 from 3 with 4 turnovers. So Tamani's been playing better offense. A lot of these guys that played a lot of minutes aren't really part of the equation right now. I mean, even Shaedon Sharpe, he plays 30 minutes. He's on minutes restriction right now. Young's not going to play. Duop's not going to play. Caleb Love's not going to play. Sidy Cissoko.
Duop's not going to play?
Yeah, well, maybe we resign him. I don't know. Just kidding. Sidy Cissoko, 28 minutes. He's not going to play or shouldn't play. Maybe he'll play a couple minutes if the Blazers need a spark of energy. But this is not the Blazers team that the Suns are going to see. So obviously you got Drew, you got Scoot in the starting lineup, and Klingon's been playing some of his best basketball the last 2 months of the season.
He did have 5 blocks in that game. But Malwatch was the only Suns player that didn't play, like actual player.
Yeah. So they were healthy. I mean, Booker didn't really do a ton. Oh, they didn't have Jalen Green.
Oh, right. I don't know why he's not listed as DMP on here.
Yeah. Well, guys that are injured, sometimes they don't get listed. Colin Gillespie killed the Blazers off the bench in 28 minutes, had 19 points. We're going to get to another game in which he killed the Blazers later on this year. They also didn't have Grayson Allen in this game. So no Grayson, no Jalen Green. But it's just the 18 offensive rebounds. Like, the offensive rebounds plus the turnovers plus the three-point shooting for the Blazers is what crushed them in this game.
And it wasn't like one guy. Like, there was a bunch of them that had a couple.
Yeah, a bunch of guys on the Blazers that had a bunch of turnovers, a bunch of guys on the Suns in this game that had multiple offensive rebounds, and then nobody could make a three. So that was the first matchup. That was a game at home. The Suns kind of pulled away in the second half in that game, kind of took control. The Blazers looked absolutely outmatched. The second game against the Suns this season, the Blazers lost 130-125. This was another game at home. If we take a look at the team stats here and then we'll look at the box score, the Blazers shot better from three, 35%. But once again, 17 turnovers. Not going to cut it. Offensive rebounds. They gave up 18 again. 18 offensive boards to the Phoenix Suns. The theme here is like turnovers plus offensive rebounds for the Suns. The Blazers losing the possession number battle. Not good. In terms of player performances from this game, Colin Gillespie. This was the Colin Gillespie Grayson Allen game. They combined to go 14 for 25 from three. They combined to go 19 for 34 from the field. They combined for 54 points. They were basically running off of screens, and the Blazers were dropping the big well below the screen, and they were running into wide open three after wide open three after wide open three. Grayson Allen, Colin Gillespie. Jordan Goodwin had a good game off the bench. He had 5 offensive rebounds. He's a guy that can crash the glass really, really well. I'm going to focus on Colin Gillespie here after we look at the third game. But this was a game where they didn't have Devin Booker. They didn't have Jalen Green. This was they were playing Jamari Bouye 15 minutes off the bench. This was a pretty inexcusable loss. Now, the Blazers didn't have Denny Avdija. They They still scored the ball particularly well. They had Jeremy Grant in this game. They did have Drew Holiday back. But you're still looking at this bench. 20 minutes to Blake Wesley, 21 minutes to City Sissoko. Vic Krejci got 14 minutes. Caleb Love got 8. And then Shaedon Sharpe got 31. Once again, like, these guys' roles for this game, either they're out of the lineup or they're playing less minutes off the bench, in Sharpe's case.
Yep. Gabe's in chat. He says Gillespie's star player free trial ran out, by the way.
Well, that's what I heard him saying. That's why I want to talk about Gillespie and look at his game log recently.
Not against Portland.
That's,
we have the tonic that gets them right back on track.
Yeah, hopefully not. But, you know, the Blazers, they shot threes, but just too many turnovers. 3 from Tamani, 3 from Grant, 5 from Drew, 3 from Rob Will. That's a theme. I mean, that's been a theme of the season, but it was especially worse in these Suns games.
Mm.
And then the third Suns game. The Blazers, oh yeah, this was after they gave up 157 points to the Denver Nuggets. The Blazers then played the Suns and only gave up 77 points. So they gave up 80 less points than the game before, but this was a game without Devin Booker. And this was also a game. Colin Gillespie played, Jalen Green played. Grayson Allen missed this game, so no Grayson Allen, no Devin Booker. And they really could not get anything going offensively. They were 9 for 35 from 3, but also just struggled to create shots. 19 turnovers. Like, Blazers forcing a lot of steals, containing at the point of attack. You know, they were stuck. I remember this game. They were stuck in quicksand in this game. The Blazers' effort was much better than it was the night before against the Nuggets. Colin Gillespie still 18 points, still their leading scorer. Did have 6 turnovers in that game, but 4 for 8 from 3. That's kind of the X factor against this Blazer team. Jalen Green, 13 points. Team stats, I mean, the Blazers still did not do well offensively, 27% from 3. They had 21 turnovers. They only gave up 13 offensive rebounds this time. That's still a lot. But they gave up 18 in the first 2 matchups, 13 against the Suns in this game. But they were able to take care of business. Only 6 free throw attempts for the Suns. There's like no fouls in this game. So those are the matchups. Let's take a look at how the Suns have been playing recently. Dylan Brooks missed some time. Devin Booker missed some time. But if you go back the past month, right, it's April 12th, so let's just say here. Also conveniently starts during this losing streak. The Suns finished the season on a 6-10 stretch. A 6-10 stretch, coinciding with some injuries. OKC, this game didn't really matter to either team. You know, Dallas, a tanking team. But Houston, this was a meaningful game for both teams. Kind of their last real game where both teams were playing for something at this point of the year. Colin Gillespie, 17 minutes, 0 points. All right, we got to look at his game log. So in the month of April, he's shooting 25% from 3. He's shooting 31% from the field. In the month of March, 36% from 3, 38% from the field. His last 9 games, 4 for 11, 0 for 8, 4 for 16, 4 for 8, 2 for 7, 3 for 11, 0 for 2, 5 for 12, 2 for 6. So I assume he's going to be coming off the bench. This is a guy that's killed the Blazers. The Blazers have not seen Jalen Green all year. It's going to be interesting to see what type of game that he has, given that he has played sparingly this year, given the hamstring issues that he dealt with. Anything that you want to kind of say about Colin Gillespie? Because he's been the guy that has killed the Blazers, but he's been really, really struggling.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, so throughout the season, obviously defenses adjust and have gone from not necessarily game planning for him to having to now. So I think the Blazers are either going to overcompensate and still run out on him, or they're going to live with him shooting sometimes with his struggles lately. And I think that would be a mistake because I think for a shooter like that, he can get going pretty fast if you just leave him open like we tend to leave some shooters open lately.
Yeah. Jalen Green, let's take a look at his game log. So he played all of March, all of April. Basically, since the All-Star break, he's been healthy. He's been playing. In the month of March, averaged 22 a game, was 45% from the field, 34% from three. He's kind of like their Shaedon Sharpe. He's kind of like their Shaedon Sharpe. He's capable of having really good games, but he's also capable of having really poor shooting nights. Lately, he has been shooting the ball pretty well. He's been scoring the ball pretty well, so he's a guy that the Blazers can hopefully contain. How would you match up here? So the starting lineup's going to be Booker, Green, Brooks, Mark Williams. Who's the fifth guy, Gabe? Who's the fifth guy? Because like Jordan Goodwin has started some games.
Well, we're waiting for that. TV tank mode asked what's going with Jeremy Grant. Will he be available versus the Suns? Probably not.
Dunn, sometimes Royce. Yeah, Royce O'Neal is a guy that. Let me just look at the stats here. So Royce on the season, there's not. Where's the percentages? Freaking ESPN. He can shoot the ball, 41% from three. Like, he's the type of role player that kills the Blazers because they don't do a good enough job defending him on the three-point line, and then you look up at the end of the night and he has 5 threes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a stretch 4. I think matchup-wise, like, you don't do anything cute with Klingon. He guards Mark Williams. Mark Williams is not a stretch 5. I think that plays into Klingon's hands. Klingon, that third game, really outplayed him. The rest, Tamani. Do you put Tamani on Booker or Tamani on Jalen Green? Because, Devin Booker's the better player, but this season he was 33% from three. Like, Tamani, I think, has a better chance of taking Jalen Green maybe out of the game or just forcing a bad shooting night from Jalen Green, and Jalen Green's going to get his shots up. So that's kind of the basis of the question there. Or maybe Dylan Brooks averaged 20 a game. Whoever Tamani's on, he needs to have an impact. Like, I don't know if I'd put him on Booker because Booker's still capable of having a big game. You know, he's going to run a lot of pick and rolls, get Tamani screened off.
He's going to come off screens a lot, yeah. But sometimes they're lower, like closer to the free throw line to where the drop wouldn't matter as much. So I don't know. I'd probably start with them on Booker and just adjust as needed.
I think I'd put Drew on Booker.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters. You could probably get away with either one or switch them.
Jalen Green is more of an ISO player. I think I'd rather have Tamani on Jalen Green and put Drew on Devin Booker. And then you put Denny on Brooks. I think you are completely fine putting Scoot on Royce O'Neal or Ryan Dunn or whoever their other starter is. And then you let Klingon take Mark Will. And then Drew, you hope, fights through screens well on Booker so you can drop Klingon. Green can come off screens and shoot pull-up jumpers, but if you have Tamani on him, like, maybe you can bother him from behind. Like, I think that's the way I'd want to match up with them, man-to-man.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
And then off the bench, Grayson Allen's the X factor there. Colin Gillespie's the X factor there. You have to get through screens. If you're going to play drop, you have to get through those screens. You have to lock and trail. You cannot give them space coming off those screens to shoot pull-up threes.
Yeah. For sure. Don't die on screens. Don't give them space to get going in the mid-range.
When Robert Williams is in the game, would you throw a curveball defensively?
I mean, I've wanted him to throw that curveball that you're going to mention all season, but yeah, I don't
They
know if
haven't
will, but
done much of it, though.
yeah.
They've barely ran any defensive coverage where they've played at or above the level of the screen. I almost feel like it's maybe a little too late to try and run it now in a one-game setting where you might not be ready to execute it behind that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it as Robert Williams is in the game. We're going to play a couple of possessions like we're still dropping, and then it's a surprise trap. It's a surprise hedge on Booker, honestly, on Colin Gillespie maybe. Somebody with a little bit less experience. If he's in the game, especially because you're talking about a bench unit, if he's in the game coming off of a screen, that's a guy that I would look to maybe spring the surprise trap. Maybe you can get a steal, maybe an easy bucket the other way, and then maybe you keep running it, and then once it starts to look like, oh, maybe they're starting to figure this out, then you switch back to your basic coverage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've always wanted to throw that curveball.
Yeah.
See if they have the guts to do it in this situation.
Yeah. No freaking zone, dude. If we run zone in a playing game, I'm going to lose my mind. Luckily, they have not been running it lately.
Yeah.
I've given up on it, thank goodness.
That's the one good thing about I kind of trust them to not do that right now because they haven't been.
Yeah.
Phoenix killed that earlier.
Yeah. I think the thing that plays into our hands, they don't have a stretch five.
Yeah.
They do not have a stretch five. And even if they did, if they're playing a stretch five with Ryan Dunn, like that's maybe the type of situation where you put Klingon on Dunn. He's not a 3-point shooter. Although did shoot a little bit better in March. He was February and March shot decently well from 3. Struggled December, January. But luckily, you're not going to be put in a situation where Klingon's having to guard a stretch 5. The only possible situation for Klingon where it's an issue is if they go small. It's if they go small. And who's their small ball 5? Do they have like a specific small ball 5? I'm not sure. And I don't mean, he's a center. He doesn't shoot. Like, he's a 5 that's undersized that doesn't shoot, not a stretch 5.
Yeah, I think Fleming sometimes lately has been doing that. He's been doing a pretty good job.
He's kind of been the guy that's been inserted into their rotation second half of the season and has played a lot of minutes. If you look before February, he was barely playing. A lot of this was garbage time or guys being hurt. After the All-Star break, started getting regular minutes, played 19 minutes a game in March. He shot 40% from 3.
Yeah, he's been good.
Tonight, shot 4 for 7 from 3. This was a guy that should not have fallen to the 31st pick. He's somebody that you liked a lot in this past year's draft. I was a little bit more sour on him. I forget where I ranked him, but I had I think a mid-first round grade on him. It was somewhere in the top 20. It was a great pickup for them, and I still think, though, if he's playing center, you're talking about a rookie who's 6'9". Yes, he has long arms. He's relatively strong. You would like to be able to put Klingon in the low post and take advantage of a 5-inch height difference.
Yeah.
But that's something the Blazers have not done. But in the playoffs, in a half-court setting where things can grind to a halt at times, that should be something that they're prepared to do. But this could be one of those things where it's a tough matchup for Klingon to guard him on the 3-point arc. And I think Klingon's capable. It's just like you want him around the rim, protecting the rim. You don't want him away from the rim all the time, having to just worry about somebody who on the season he only shot 33% from 3, but has been better as of late. 40% in March, and then April's a small sample size. And he shot 4 for 7 today, and I don't believe this number's taking that into account. He's kind of their under the radar X factor in this game. 41% in February as well. So don't look at his season long shooting number of 33%. He's a better shooter than this, and he figured it out down the stretch.
Yeah.
That's the curveball that they could throw where they go small and try and bring Klingon away from the rim and then force the Blazers to either put Robert Williams in or force the Blazers to, have their center play away from the rim. And even if you put Robert Williams in, like, he's more mobile, so he can maybe get to the rim in certain situations where he can also get out and bother Fleming as a spot-up shooter. But you're still putting the Blazers big in a tough position if Fleming's in the game, because I do think he shot well enough that you have to respect his shot. And that is something I'd worry about if he gets inserted into a game, that he'd have like a Carter Bryant type game, like Carter Bryant had against the Blazers, where he's 4 for 5 or 4 for 6 from 3, and it's just the X factor that determines this game.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to be able to take advantage of it. Klingon should be able to beast on the offensive glass if they go small.
Absolutely. Hopefully you can.
Any like strategical thoughts on this matchup that you want to touch upon? Because there's obviously multiple different things that the Blazers should be ready for.
Yeah, you touched upon it. I think the key to the game is not getting blown up on screens and being able to fight through them, or just flat out switching in those situations. I don't think we necessarily get hurt too bad with switching, or hedging and recovering. But like you also said, they haven't really done a lot of that this year, so I don't have faith in that happening. But you've got to find a way to fight through screens and at least contest shots and not give them open looks. Don't let some of these guys that have struggled like Gillespie get going. And then on offense, we know Dylan Brooks is going to get in someone's face. He's going to be pressuring probably Denny. And they also have some other good defenders like Ryan Dunn, players like that. So we need to find a way to get moving off ball and create some advantages that way if they're over pressuring. And also got to do a good job of screening Dylan off of whoever he's guarding, so that player can get free. But we have to find a way to get Denny going, and we also can't just be stagnant and watch him try to do it one-on-one against Dylan, because I don't think that would work out very well for us.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Suns were 18th in adjusted offensive rating, 10th adjusted defensive rating, so kind of similar to the Blazers, just a couple spots higher in each. Pace-wise, they are near the bottom 10 in offensive possession length, 23rd in terms of pace. They grind out a lot of defensive possessions. Offensively, they're an average turnover team. They do get a lot of offensive rebounds. We saw that in the 3 matchups between the Blazers and the Suns. The one thing they don't do is get to the free throw line. And, shout out my guy Gabe, but I already started to hear him say, man, the Suns have to beat the Blazers because if they face Kawhi or Steph, the NBA is going to want them in the playoffs. So they're going to get all the free throws. Well, I mean, the Suns on the season don't really shoot a lot of free throws in general. I don't know if they think that's the refs screwing them over, if that's just a thing with their team. Like, let's look at this number. Percentage of shots at the rim, shot distribution. They shoot the second least percentage of shots at the rim in the league. That corresponds with them being the 3rd lowest free throw rate team. They don't drive a bunch. They don't get to the rim a bunch. And they don't shoot a lot of free throws. Because of that, the team that drives and is more aggressive trying to get to the rim is generally the team that's going to shoot a higher percentage of free throws. The Blazers, 9th in offensive free throw rate. In terms of their shot distribution, they took the 5th most shots at the rim. So, and Denny's the perfect example of that. He drives constantly. He leads the league in drives per game, gets to the free throw line a lot. There is a correlation between those two things. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers are at the end of the day. But you look at Phoenix, like they don't get to the rim a whole lot. Like Devin Booker shoots a lot of pull up, like 8-footers, 9-footers, 10-footers. He's really good at that shot. You just have to find a way to, especially if Klingen's in the game and able to play around the rim and kind of shut off the paint. You have to find a way to get through screens and not give up open threes, because they're a team that doesn't get to the rim well and doesn't get to the line well. So they should not, against a Donovan Clingan Robert Williams center duo, they should not be able to have a good night at the rim in this game. They should not be able to get to the free throw line a bunch in this game. It's just, will they make jump shots? Can you slow them down from the perimeter? They are the 12th best team shooting from three. They're 17th best shooting from mid-range. They take the 7th most threes, and then mid-range, they take one of the higher mid-range percentage. Sacramento takes the most mid-range shots. It's like the site actually says it's worse to shoot more mid-range shots. That's why they're 30th. It's just, you don't want them to get going on jump shots in this game. They rebound a lot of those jump shots. You got to find ways to not let them get going shooting the ball and then corral the rebound, because I trust Klingan, I trust Robert Williams to defend the paint well.
Yep. Just gotta hope he doesn't get. Because if the guards get downhill on him, that has happened against Phoenix a couple times. Mark Williams has had, or at least one of the games, he had a decent game where Klingan kept having to choose between staying home and guarding or helping on a guard that's driving downhill, and just got to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah. The trap for the Blazers in this game is their offensive play on the perimeter. The Suns force the 3rd highest rate of turnovers. The Blazers are the worst team at taking care of the ball. That is the major inflection point for this game. The Suns also have the 2nd best defensive percentage from 3. The only team better than them at defending the three-point line this season was the Detroit Pistons. The Blazers are the 3rd worst three-point shooting team in the league, and they take the 3rd most threes. So where Portland can really get into trouble with this game is if, A, they don't take care of the ball, which they've struggled with all season long, and the Suns force a ton of turnovers. They play really aggressive on the perimeter, and the Blazers have struggled with that. And then if the Blazers fall too in love with the three-point shot against that pressure and have a bad shooting night. That is something that has been prevalent this season, in that if the Blazers lose, I guarantee you it's a combination of that and a combination of potentially not doing a good enough job on the defensive glass. Those are the areas that I'm worried about in this game. Because Phoenix does not do a particularly good job at defending the rim. They're 23rd in that regard. They play out on you on the perimeter, which makes it maybe a little bit easier to blow by them off the dribble and get to the rim and finish. But a lot of teams struggle to do just that. A lot of teams turn over the ball against the Suns team. It's not just the Blazers, but the Blazers especially have to be ready for that.
Yeah, take care of the ball, but also just like I was saying earlier, don't move around or don't stay in one place and just let them play the passing lanes and not have to force them to have to like tag a cutter and things like that. If the Blazers just play right into those things you were talking about, that's going to be bad for them.
Yeah. Anyway, that is our Phoenix Suns versus Portland Trail Blazers preview of the 7 versus 8 playing game. I don't know if you want to do predictions for this game. Chat, leave your predictions. I did a chat poll at the start of the stream, and the majority of chat thinks Blazers are going to win.
Yeah. We're not biased, are we?
I try my best not to be biased. And I am absolutely worried about the turnover issue and the three-point shooting against this team.
Yeah.
I feel like show me the three-point shooting numbers and the turnover numbers for the Blazers, and I could tell you if they won or lost. But I like
that's been the case almost all year.
Yeah, my final score prediction is Suns 112, Blazers 108.
You think the Blazers lose?
If that's my prediction with my head right now. Because of those two things. The Blazers have not figured out those two things all year long. I mean, the three-point shooting is a roster construction issue, and they just take a ton of threes. If the Blazers have a hot shooting night against this defense that is predicated on not letting you have good nights from three, then they probably win this game. And that's just the thing that's pretty impossible to predict. But it's just like in this situation, biggest game of a lot of these guys' careers, are they against a team that when they were healthier, the Blazers struggled to match up with. Even the third game when they weren't as healthy, the Blazers only scored 92 points against. They've struggled offensively at times against this team this year. Do you expect them to come out and have a hot shooting night from three in this game? I can't predict that they will.
I'll go opposite. I'll say Blazers 112, Suns 108.
Stealing my score.
There we go.
Stealing my score. I mean, the people will like that prediction more, for sure. Tori. Here's the thing, man. I could easily just sit here being a biased fan saying, I love the Blazers. I think they're going to do it and they're going to win. Like, you guys don't show up for me to just be a biased fan that just spews any rose-colored stuff off the top of his head. Like, that's not why you guys watch the channel. So, and if that's why you think you watch the channel, then I don't know. If you've watched the channel for a while and that's what you watch it for, then I don't know how you're still watching the channel because we don't do that. We don't do that. So I'll take the heat. I'll take the heat. But, I mean, the Suns are favored in this game for a reason. The Suns are favored in this game for a reason.
Yeah, because they're sleeping on the Blazers.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're sleeping
This is the Dundon era now. We're not... If this was the Jody Allen era, I would have your prediction.
If this was the Jody Allen era. You know what? Actually, they do play better under Tom Dundon. Maybe I want to revise my pick. I just think the playoffs become such a possession battle. And the Blazers' struggles on the defensive glass, and the Suns' ability to offensive rebound, plus the Blazers' struggles turning over the ball, and the Suns' ability to force turnovers, plus the Suns defend the three-point line well, and the Blazers shoot a crap ton of threes despite not being a good three-point shooting team. I think the combination of those things is why I'm predicting a close loss. Like, that's where the Blazers have to overcome those things.
Yeah. They cannot turn the ball over 17 to 20 times. They will definitely lose the game if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if Tamani Kamara makes 8 threes, you know, that could obviously change the game where the Blazers could struggle with all those things. And, well, I guess they wouldn't struggle with the three-point shooting, but like, I don't know. Just the combination of those things is what I'm worried about. And they certainly can overcome it, and they certainly can win this game. I would not be surprised if they won or lost this game. But I do think that is where it's at. So, listen, I was the guy who was breathing life into the possibility of the Blazers getting the 8th seed all season long, even when it looked like, oh man, the Blazers are 4 games back. You know, even when it looked dire. I've been the guy sitting here like, we can get the 8th seed. We can get the 8th seed. Now we got the 8th seed. So I hope that I don't continue to be right, and I hope that the Blazers take advantage of this. They have been playing good basketball. But if the team that played tonight against the Sacramento Kings plays against the Suns, the Blazers lose that game. The Blazers did not play particularly well. Rotation-wise for the Blazers in this game, this is the time to cut it to an 8-man rotation.
Yes, please.
Like, if you win, you get 5 days of rest. If you lose, you get 2 days of rest, and then you play Friday. This is the game to play Denny 41 minutes, 42 minutes. This is the game to play Tamani 40 minutes. Obviously, you don't want them dead-ass tired at the end of the game where they can't execute, but they should play as many minutes as physically possible.
Well, you also...
while being able to produce.
If you play Friday, then you have to play Sunday too, so...
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not worried about the first round because the Blazers are probably going to lose. And
I'm just saying that's 3 games that week versus 2. Yeah.
I'm more worried about just getting there. I think if it was in a situation where you felt good about potentially being able to make a run, then maybe you try and get cute with it. But the Blazers, this is a year where they're taking a step forward and they just want to be in the playoffs. So this is the game where you play your best possible rotation. You cut your rotation. You don't force feed minutes to City Sissoko so that Tamani plays 35 minutes instead of 40 and City Sissoko gets 5 minutes to screw things up. All right? I feel that way about Chris Murray as well. Chris Murray was solid tonight. I don't trust Chris Murray in this game. I don't trust Chris Murray at all in this game. You're talking about a team that defends the three-point line well. He can't shoot. You're talking about a team that struggles protecting the rim. You don't want to put a Chris Murray out there that allows them to rotate off him and provide more reinforcement at the rim. And then they're very physical on the ball. I don't think Chris Murray's dribble drive game for 1 or 2 possessions a game, he doesn't drive much, but I don't think he's going to be an offensive factor at all against this team. Like he might be able to get an opportunistic bucket or an offensive putback, but I think in the half-court offense, at a higher level of intensity that the play-in will be, he catches the ball on the perimeter. Like, I don't trust him to make threes, and then I don't trust him to do anything with the ball when he's getting pressured by a team that's good at pressuring the perimeter. It's basically just going to result in he's somebody you don't really have to guard, don't really have to respect. And when he gets the ball in his hands, he's just trying to find Denny Avdija so Denny Avdija can do something. I don't think that's the type of player you want to play in this situation. Eric, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think you shorten the rotation, go all out to try and win this game. You can maybe play a few more guys if they're tired on Friday, but I think this game is really important to win. And like you said, you got plenty of time to rest afterwards. So I don't feel comfortable putting anyone in the game that's not like a legit player.
I'm more comfortable. This might sound crazy, but if I had to choose for 5 minutes against the Suns, who plays power forward next to Donovan Clingan for those 5 minutes, I would choose Robert Williams over Chris Murray.
You would go double bigs, huh?
With Clingan's ability to shoot, with Clingan's ability to step out and knock down a three, I kind of view Chris as a non-shooter. Yes, I know he's capable of making them, but I mean, Robert Williams was 2 for 2 last game, So is it really that different having Robert Williams or Chris Murray shooting threes from the corner? Is it really that much different? The thing is, I wouldn't want Robert Williams to be sitting there in the corner, but you look at a team that rebounds the ball really well on the offensive glass. You look at the way things slow down, the way defense is more important. In this game, I would not be afraid to play Clingan 32, 33 minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble, and then Robert Williams 20. Normally, I don't like that combination, but I think against a team like this, I'd rather go with Robert Williams over Chris Murray. Not saying that I necessarily would, I guess. But if you have to find spot minutes at the power forward spot, I would kind of just fill him with Robert Williams instead of Chris Murray at this point.
If it's 5 to 10 minutes, I think you have to play Chris. I think his rebounding has been good enough to maybe make an impact player too, and just hope he doesn't F up or miss a
Robert
couple
Williams
threes.
is a better rebounder.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
What
I
is
don't
Chris
like
Murray
the way
providing you that Robert Williams is not?
I just don't like the way the two bigs match up against the Suns lineup because we won't take advantage of it on the offensive end. I don't think.
But Chris doesn't take advantage of anything on the offensive end. For the most
No,
part.
I know.
Like any play he makes, Robert Williams is not a dribble drive guy, but I don't think that's going to be a factor for Chris Murray in this game. Chris Murray is like opportunistic scorer, cut, put back type thing. Robert Williams is a better finisher at the rim because he's an athletic big. He's a better putback threat. He's a better lob threat when somebody drives and the help comes over. Like you can throw it up to Rob like Deddy did today.
I just think with our type of style and offense, I just don't like the double big. I don't like Klingon then having to play more out on the perimeter. I think he plays out there enough. I don't know.
I feel like he kind of needs to play out there on the perimeter next to Chris Murray as well.
But I mean, Chris isn't going playing down low either.
Yeah, he's sitting there wide open on the arc, and his guy's not respecting him.
Part of the reason that makes that effective is like Klingon on the 3-point line brings out the big, but if the big could then just switch and guard Rob Will, then
the big can guard Chris Murray.
Yeah, but I guess Rob Will's hit 9 threes this year, but I still think Chris can put it on the floor, and I don't know. I don't like the double big lineup against the Suns.
I don't want Chris putting the ball on the floor against the Suns in a play-in. That would scare the hell out of me. And I think you can put a big on Chris Murray and just dare him to shoot. Just like you would dare Robert Williams to shoot. Hey, Rob Will shot 39% from 3 this season.
Then just play Veet, man.
Well, do you feel good with Veet as the 4 against this team?
I mean, you could have Tamani be the 4.
Stagger. But let's say Tamani gets into foul trouble and you can't play Denny every minute that Tamani's not in the game, and you have to turn to something. Because we'll go into the main game plan, but just situationally, I think if they play Royce O'Neal at the 4, you can play Vic Krejci at the 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the Suns have a lineup where we're gonna get taken advantage of if we have a smaller lineup with one big in there. So that's why I'd rather do that than have the 2 bigs.
You can't have 2 centers who can't guard the perimeter. Rob Will can guard the perimeter,
but we don't see it very often.
Yeah, I think Rob Will can guard the perimeter against Royce O'Neal or whoever. Yeah. It doesn't have a problem guarding Royce O'Neal or Rasheer Fleming. Just stay out on a shooter. No, neither of those guys are going to make their payday putting the ball on the ground from the perimeter against Robert Williams. Yeah, you're going to get cross-match at times, but I don't know, man. I think Rob does a fine job there. I'm not worried about it for defensive reasons. I'm just trying to talk Chris Murray into when he inevitably plays 7 minutes in this game, he plays great because of how much I doubt him. I'm trying to speak it into existence by doubting him. So he's going to have 7 minutes, he's going to have 10 points, he's going to have 5 boards, 3 steals. And then everybody's going to say, what were you talking about? He played great. That's what I'm going for. But all jokes aside, I just don't trust Chris Murray in this game. I think, and me and you agreed on this a couple streams ago, the rotation needs to be an 8-man rotation. You have Klingon and Rob Will at center. Tamani and Denny are your starting forwards, but those guys can stagger at the 4. So, if you keep Denny in, sub Tamani out early, sub Tamani back in for Denny, Tamani's the 4. Right? Then when Tamani gets subbed out, Denny gets subbed back in at the 4. And then Tamani gets subbed in late in the half at the 3. And that's how you run those 2 guys. That leaves the rest of the minutes at point guard, shooting guard, small forward for Drew Holiday, Scoot Henderson, Tamani starting there, so he's playing some there, and then you have Shaedon Sharpe and Matisse Thybulle off the bench.
Yep.
And that's your 8.
Yep.
I just am worried that you're going to see a combination of Matisse Thybulle and Chris Murray next to each other in a postseason, and how that might go terribly wrong.
Yep. I have a feeling that is correct.
This coaching staff loves themselves some Chris Murray. Like, Sharpe, will he be able to play 20 minutes?
I don't know. It's 2 days from now. Probably not.
Well, didn't he play 17 minutes in his first game, or was that tonight?
I think he played 15.
He played 17 tonight.
Yeah.
So let us say that let's just bake out the minutes here. This is what I'd shoot for. Obviously, situations change. Guys get into foul trouble, right? So you don't go in like, this is exactly what we're going to do, but this is just kind of like game planning. Henderson, Holiday, Kamara, Avdija, Klingon. Then off the bench, you have, like, Holiday will play the backup point, so you'll stagger him and Scoot. You have Sharpe, you have Thybulle, Kamara and Avdija are going to stagger there, and then you have Robert Williams III. So, like, I'm trying to get Scoot, like, 30 to 32 minutes a game. Let's just say 32, because we're cutting the rotation. So that leaves 16 minutes backup point for Drew. Let's say he plays 20 at the 2. You got Sharpe for 20, and then you play Thybulle for 8 to get to 48 minutes there. Avdija, would you try and play Drew more than 36 minutes in this game?
No, I think that's about all I would play him. Yeah.
Avdija, I try and play 40.
Yeah. 38 to 40, yeah.
Kamara, I try and play like 38. This is kind of my minutes breakdown. You got Scoot for 32. You got Holiday for 36. You got Sharpe for 20. You got Thybulle for 26. Kamara for 38. Avdija for 40. Klingon, Williams, split them however you want. They're only playing center. Klingon, I put at 30. Williams, I put at 18. Do you agree with that kind of game plan in terms of how you're going to play people where?
Yeah, in general, yeah. It's not bad.
Chat, what would you change? Let me know in the live chat. F it, let's play Dame. Yeah, here. Sorry. Whoops. Lillard.
How hyped would you be if you saw he was questionable?
I mean, that'll be an awesome day when he's ready to play, regardless, you know. But yeah, I'm not expecting it. But whose minutes would you cut? Whose would you increase? That's my question. I would maybe, if Holiday's playing well, I'd maybe give him a 38 minutes, you know, maybe cut Thybulle by a couple. This is situational, of course, but like maybe Holiday 38, Thybulle 24, Sharpe 20, Kamara 38, Avdija 40. But I think this is kind of cut Scoot, increase Tease.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's pretty close to what I would do, yeah.
Yeah. But somebody said cut Scoot's minutes, increase Tease's.
I'm not fine with that. I just don't know how Tease is going to hold up after.
Yeah, plus, like, you want Tease being max energy. You don't want Tease being tired on the floor in a game like this. So I'd actually probably go Holiday 38 and Tease 24. And if Sharpe can play, you know, a couple more minutes, you maybe cut into Tease a little bit more. I think ideally you'd be playing Tease 18 to 20 minutes in this game, but you know, but this is something where like they could have Tease's minutes be like 18 instead of 24, and then you got 6 minutes here for Chris Murray at the backup 4. That would actually be my prediction. is Chris Murray comes in and plays 4 minutes at the end of the first / early second. And depending on how he plays, depending on how it looks with him in the game, that determines if he plays or not in the second half. If Tease isn't 100%, maybe you could see him play more and Tease play less. But here's the thing. If Scoot gets hurt, you're looking at this, or not Scoot gets hurt. Well, yeah, if Scoot gets hurt. But if Scoot gets in foul trouble, it throws a wrench into all of this. Because now you're playing Holiday, more minutes at point guard. You have more minutes on the wing. If Sharpe has a minutes restriction and Thybulle's not 100%, you're already playing Kamara 38, Avdija 40. Now you have to insert somebody into the rotation. Is that going to be Chris Murray? Is that going to be Vit Krejci? Given that Krejci just returned, I assume it'd be Chris Murray. But Krejci is the type of guy that I feel like a play-in game and his ability to shoot, although we haven't seen it in Portland, like he could come into a game and hit 3 threes in 5 minutes and swing the balance of a game.
Yeah.
Like that was the idea, getting Vit Krejci. And in this situation, ideally you'd have Grant and maybe you'd have Krejci playing so well that he's ahead of Thybulle in the rotation. And then it becomes a lot easier.
Thybulle's played lately, but that's why just having Grant right now off the bench would make this so much easier to play. Like he wouldn't even have to play that many minutes, just having an extra option.
Well, I think in this type of game you'd play Grant 30 minutes, and maybe Kamara and Avdija a couple less, and then it basically would be, who do you play as the ninth guy, between Sharpe, who's coming back off an injury and still looks rusty, or Thybulle. Whereas Grant, he's hurt, he's injured. Like that would be the conversation. It wouldn't be, is Chris Murray going to play? It would be, do you play Thybulle over Sharpe right now? Is that what's best for the team?
Grant is back Tuesday.
According to who / what?
Yeah.
He's back on the court now. What do you mean? He literally sat this game. He literally sat this game.
It wasn't like doubtful or questionable. He was listed out right from the jump.
Yeah. According to a Twitter account that has 47 followers. Nice. Not in-game. Yeah, he was sitting on the bench in street clothes. That doesn't mean he's going to come back next game. Dame's been sitting on the bench in street clothes all season long. He's not coming back next game. He's on the court, though, according to Tiago. I mean, that's probably just, he's doing light workouts. Maybe he's questionable next game. But he's been out. He's not even been questionable. Normally, the injury designations ramp up to playing. So, I mean, I'll never say never. Who knows with this training staff and the way they've handled injuries. Like you never know, I guess, except in Dame's case.
Well, unless the Blazers make the second round, it's still April. So,
but it's also something where he has a calf strain. They're not going to play it if there's any chance of a reoccurrence of injury or tearing an Achilles, because that's what that leads to. I would feel uneasy playing him heavy minutes. Like maybe he gets the Chris Murray minutes in this situation. I don't know if he was healthy, but Trevin says Coach Splitter, Jeremy Grant doing on-court work but without timeline for return. That was the quote. Yeah. So, not coming back next game. If only we had if only we could have gotten that quote live, You know what drives me crazy? I go to Mariner games and I see YouTube channels, podcasts that have less subscribers than we do on YouTube with credentials, and they're on the field before a game.
Nice.
They give their highly recognized or whatever you frame it as. Like they give their podcast, their big podcast, they give them access, or at least one of their podcasts that has like 12K subs, and I'm just sitting there like, man, it would be nice just to see interviews live, and it would completely change the content. It would be great for you guys. That's the number one reason why I want credentials for this channel is for you guys. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I got a campaign. Maybe Dunn didn't change his things. I gotta hope.
He did make a comment about how like any sort of time the name gets out there, it's good. Like bad press is good. There's still press,
Yeah. Well,
Middle Pulse says, "Did you see Ichiro's statue reveal? That was bad."
Yeah, I went and saw the statue yesterday too.
Did it still have the bent bat?
You could tell where it was bent. Like, no, they straightened it up, so it's like straight now. But you could tell where it was. Like, you could barely tell where it was bent.
Or bat or something.
Like,
Jeez.
put a steel rod in it, man. Like, what the hell? I feel bad for the sculptor because the sculptor was like mortified by it. But yeah. Shout out to the dog. How close to your mic setup is the dog water dish? I've wondered this. You're muted. I've wondered this though.
Well, yeah, I'm muted because she's still going. It used to be just a couple feet away to my left, but it got moved. It's on the other side of the table, probably a good 6 or 7 feet away. So.
Yeah. We love the background noises. Prestigious guy says, Tori, I love your realism. I feel it would suffer in-game / at the game, though. Here's the thing. I wouldn't even plan to go to most games if I was credentialed. I would try and bring somebody on to go to games. Like a journalism major, somebody to like intern, get good experience, that sort of thing. Like that's my dream. Like somebody that, is going to school for it, maybe close to graduating, like, knows how to be professional, knows how to, wants some like hands-on experience in that type of environment. Like, I think that would be super cool to be able to provide like that gateway and then still be able to do the streams and like, get live interviews and, like I could go to practices and stuff like that. Like, that's my dream. That's my dream. There's people out there that say that there's no way that I or we deserve that. But I mean, we've built a very legitimate podcast covering the team, and we pour a ton of our time into it each and every year. And being able to be credentialed would just allow us more insight and more. We could bring interviews to you guys and watch live interviews on postgame shows, that type of thing. I think it would be great for you guys. So that's the dream. And it's like people say, we don't deserve it, but I literally see podcasts that are no bigger than ours that get credentialed for other teams. So
yeah,
I don't feel like we don't deserve it. I feel like we do.
Also, it'd be cool to be able to go to like the media day or like the post or the Dundon press conference, or if like a new player comes to town, where it's not necessarily a game, just interviewing someone after a game, but like the bigger events and conferences and stuff.
Yeah. To be honest, they don't say bad stuff about the team. Here's the thing. Dundon's coming in. I think the narrative about him isn't necessarily going to be as favorable. Like, he's going to ruffle feathers.
A couple reporters going.
Yeah. Like, if Jason Quick's credentials don't get pulled, he writes for The Athletic, though, very reputable. Then, Jason Quick's already annoyed him. I think, if there's a new GM, new front office, like, I don't think things are going to operate necessarily the same way. So that's my hope. But comment, it's not about deserve, it's how much you want it. Here's the thing, I could want it as bad as possible. They still have to approve it. And I would go in there like wanting to represent the channel very professionally and very well. Like, I think some people think like, oh, it's just loose cannon.
You wouldn't go in there and be a dick, yeah.
Yeah, like, dude, I would not go in there like a loose cannon podcaster, because while these other people are employed by people and, you know, obviously it's their career, they take it very seriously. And while this isn't my career, like, we built this channel and I'm representing everything that we've built the last 7 years. You know what I mean? Like, all the coverage we've done the last 7 years, like you guys in a way, because it's a community more so than, say, a newspaper is or somebody that writes articles. Like there's different things that matter. So, you know, I feel like that's the thought is, you know, he just come in here and try and ruffle feathers and be a loose cannon podcaster, unprofessional. You know, he hasn't.
We know how to be professional.
He didn't go to school for this. Like, yeah, I went a different route, but yeah, poured in a ton of work into this stuff and did it not getting paid like it's my career at all. You know, like, did it struggling to eat some nights back when I was door dashing type stuff, but I'm still doing content. Like, so it's different, but I feel like we do deserve it. Hopefully next season I will apply again. I've applied the last 2 years. I never really talked about this, but now that like there's a regime change, and you know, I for some reason I just feel like talking about it right now. I've applied the last 2 years. Got rejected both times. First time didn't have room. Second time didn't even get a response. So is what it is. I promised to ask 90% of my questions about Hansen Young Hansen. Maybe that'll work. Maybe I should say.
No, you just pick like a random player and just like be different. Don't be like the Young Hansen or City Sissoko guy.
Vit Krejci.
Yeah, you just gotta that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. But
like I haven't done this like you have, but I think either of us would be like you have been on the radio, where it's completely professional and it's not a bit like, yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't go about my day-to-day life trying to ruffle feathers at all. On stream, I speak my mind, and I am very, like, I can be a little brash with my opinions, but it's part of the product. It's part of the entertainment, and it's always just speaking my mind. But I'm not gonna like dial it back, because I think that's kind of boring, right? I'm gonna speak my mind, be animated, because I'm passionate about this. That doesn't mean I'm going to go in there and start ranting at Tiago. You know, it's sometimes I feel like that's what people think would happen, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, nobody that builds a platform like this wants to represent it badly. And that's obviously not the right way to represent it in that type of setting. So anyway, honest prediction of Tuesday's game, I already gave it, and people were giving me L's in the chat. Joel. Because I said 112-108 Phoenix.
And I said 112-108 Portland.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. But we'll make do with what we got, regardless of. We don't need it. But yeah. Anyway. Tankathon.
No pick for the Blazers if they win one of their next 2 games.
Yep. I want to see the updated odds here. So if the Blazers lose both games of the play-in, they would have 12th best odds. Guaranteed. Because they're worse than Miami, they're worse than Charlotte. And one of the Clippers or Golden State would make it. If Golden State makes it, do we have a chance at 11th best odds? Or we'd be tied for 11th, so wouldn't that be evened?
Yeah, and then if there's like an extra one, there'd be a coin flip or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So basically right where we were last year, almost. But, yeah, so if Golden State makes it, we'd be tied for 11th with the Clippers pick going to OKC. If the Clippers make it, we'd be 12th. So we'd have a 7.1% chance of moving up, or if I do some mental math here, 8.25% chance of moving up. minuscule odds. But as far as the tank race, both Utah and Sacramento lost today, so there's a tiebreaker there. These are all the real odds. Dallas won their last game of the regular season. New Orleans lost. New Orleans doesn't really care because they don't have their pick, but Dallas, that moved them from being tied for 6th with Memphis to tied for 7th with New Orleans. Chicago 9th, Milwaukee 10th, Golden State 11th. That's the way the odds are going to shake out for the lottery, barring the play-in down here. But, yeah, let's simulate it. Our first, real tankathon sim with the real odds. Outside of the play-in. 14 is Charlotte. 13 is Miami. 12 is OKC via LA. 11 is Golden State. 10 is Milwaukee. 9 is Chicago. 8 is Atlanta via New Orleans. So Dallas moves up into the top 4. Moving down was good for them. 7 is Memphis. 6 is Utah, and 5 is Brooklyn. So the Pacers keep their pick. At 4 is Washington. At 3 is Dallas. At 2 is Sacramento, which means the Indiana Pacers get the number 1 overall pick.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Successful tank.
Yeah, I'd be completely fine with Indiana getting the top pick. I'm fine with Sacramento, Washington. Sacramento, Washington, Brooklyn, Utah would be the teams that want to get top 4 picks. Maybe not Utah because they could be good next year and they're in the West. So I guess my top 4 teams for getting in the lottery would be Indiana, Sacramento, Washington, and Brooklyn. And part of the reason for that is the way they're going to screw up the lottery. These are these teams' last chance to cash in on top picks. Most likely.
Yeah.
They're going to get screwed in a draft that's not even that good, that teams probably won't tank for, but they got to change everything. So, yeah. Blazers pick goes to Chicago. And if Charlotte or Miami plays their way into the playoffs, that pick could be 16th. It would be 15th or 16th if it goes to Chicago. Or I guess it could be 17th. If they beat Phoenix, and then Phoenix loses to the Clippers or Golden State, and then Charlotte or Miami plays their way into the playoffs, that pick to Chicago could be 17th.
Yeah. Prestigious Guy says, nice spot for PDX there, number 15. You're not listening then.
Yeah.
We don't keep that pick if it's 15.
I thought we had a second-round pick this year.
Nope.
Oh, it was 31 to 42 protected from Memphis.
Yeah, that was never conveyed.
Yeah. That pick is going to the Clippers. Flory Badunga's not entering the draft. There's going to be multiple guys here that don't enter the draft. Amari Allen probably won't. I would love to find a way to get an early second. Allen Graves might stay in college. He's going to transfer, though. Yeah. We'll talk about draft targets late first, early second. If we make the playoffs, obviously we're not going to be as focused at the top of the draft, so the draft coverage probably won't be as robust. I mean, this year it has not been as robust. But yeah, we'll see who stays. We'll talk about trades early first, or not early first, late first, early second. I could absolutely see them going after Caravan. That's a very Blazers-esque pick to replace Chris Murray. He'd be like their Chris Murray that maybe this guy can actually make threes, even though his shot's weird as hell. And I don't understand how it goes in. His release is weird. I could see them going after a Dalen Swain. Anyway, that's Tankathon. Let me pull up the schedule for the play-in.
Someone asked if there was any WCC prospects. Isn't it just Graves is pretty much the only one, right?
Graves. There's nobody from Gonzaga. There's nobody from St. Mary's.
Yeah. Usually St. Mary's doesn't have a lot of...
Next year, I think there will be a couple guys from Gonzaga, especially if Kamenia goes there, because that's the rumor is Kamenia is going to transfer there or UCLA. I really hope we get Kamenia. They got Isaiah Harwell, who was on some draft boards before the season, went to Houston, barely played, so maybe he can play his way into draft conversations. And then I think Davis Fogel is going to have a great sophomore year. He's a guy to keep a name on. Mario St. Superi as well. Like, I think next year Gonzaga will have a couple guys. But they won't be WCC, so what am I talking about?
Yeah. It'll be Pac-12.
And St. Mary's is going to die because Randy Bennett left. So who's going to win the WCC next year? I don't know. That's really going to become like a mid-major conference. That's going to become like the Big West. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Okay, let me pop this up on the screen for y'all. All right, so playing schedule. You got Suns versus Blazers, 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 14th. That is on Prime. That'll take place after the Hornets take on the Heat. That'll be a fascinating playing game. We get to see the Hornets in a play-in, then we get to see the Blazers in a play-in. Two new teams to the play-in there. Clippers, Warriors have been in the play-in before. So have the Magic. So have the Sixers. I think the Sixers have. I don't remember. But, yeah, that'll be a fun night of hoops on Tuesday. Yeah, national television, Amazon Prime. If you don't got Amazon Prime, I guess now it's time to get Amazon Prime because that's where you have to go to watch the game. All the playing games are going to be there. If the Blazers win, they will then play on Saturday or Sunday in the first round of the NBA playoffs against the San Antonio Spurs. If the Blazers lose, they will then play on Friday, April 17th. That time will be 7 o'clock. Let me fix the typo. Always got to have one
winner of the Warriors versus Clippers.
Yep, so that's the 7-8 loser versus the winner of the 9-10 game.
That's going to be weird on Tuesday. Like, I forgot what it's like to be on the edge of my seat, intense over a Blazer game.
Did you not feel that way against the Clippers last game?
I did kind of, but I don't know. It wasn't like super fully like I usually am.
Yeah, I forget too, man. It's gonna be a interesting experience. Do I even remember how to be on the edge of my seat over a Blazer game? I don't know. Like, I get on the edge of my seat over Mariner games, like to a pretty high extent now. I'm a big Mariner fan, and baseball is just kind of like when you're into baseball, it's a very like there's a lot of tension, you know. But yeah, it'll be fun to have that with Blazer games. You know, I have that with Gonzaga in March Madness, and it's like, man, I don't ever feel this way about a Blazer game. But now we got postseason basketball. We got the Blazers on a play-in tournament graphic as the 8th seed. Everybody in our community, me, you, our mods, chat, all predicted the Blazers at 10 this year. Did not expect them to have a better season than the Clippers or the Warriors, but of course injuries for the Warriors, and then the Clippers didn't have Kawhi, and then traded James Harden, traded Zubac. I am confident in the Blazers in an 8 seed game on Friday if it comes to that, but I really, really hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah.
I really, really hope that they're able to take care of business on Tuesday. Everyone had the Suns below us, though. True. Who's the other team below us that I didn't think would be below us? I'm not sure. Maybe it was Memphis?
Grizzlies, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. That's going to wrap up our post-game show. We're going to have content before that game. I might try and drop 2 videos before the game on Tuesday. So make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure you have that bell button turned on so that you don't miss those videos. And then we're going to have the post-game show for you on Tuesday. So lots of content coming up as the Blazers play their first playing game since the bubble. Their first real playing game, if you want to call it that, in the current iteration of the play-in. Shout out to David C., member for 41 months, says, thanks for a great year, boys. Glad it ain't over. Yeah, normally this stream feels like we're saying goodbye in a way, even though we stream during the off season. It's not actually a goodbye. It's like just a goodbye to the regular season. But now it feels like a hello, Hello, we're in the plan. So thank you for being a channel member. Appreciate that message. And yeah, we'll have you covered. Anything else, Eric?
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone who joined us all season as well. And then hope to see that all culminate with us getting to celebrate making the playoffs on Tuesday. So hope to see you all there for that stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe I'll have to do a video with Gabe before that game. We'll see. He wants to do a preview video with me, so I don't know. Maybe we'll use each other for clicks. Shout out to Prize Picks. Use code HMA. Help out the channel. New users play $5. You get $50 in lineups, so you can be covered for the upcoming play-ins with Prize Picks. Leave a like, subscribe, join our Discord. There will be a game thread for the playing game. You can join it, discuss the game with other Blazers fans. If you join that Discord, link in the description box below. If you don't know what it is, just I don't know, download it and figure it out. Google it or something. Blazers win. Blazers 8th in the West. A successful regular season result. Still some things that they struggled with this year that they need to improve upon in this game against the Suns in order to take care of business. Going to be a fascinating matchup. We'll have more preview coverage for that coming up. With that being said, we are out of here. We will see you on Tuesday for hopefully another winning post-game show. And until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!